said, to me, this is the most talented tandem the Eagles have ever had at wide receiver, ever.
I
And
saw
I
that.
got a lot of pushback. People bringing up Harold Carmichael and Mike Quick. Well, Harold was in his 12th season when Mike Quick got here. I mean, he wasn't a Hall of Fame Harold Carmichael. DeVonta's 23. AJ's 24. And they are getting together at this point of their career. I think the better argument probably be Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin. Right. But I think these two are more talented than those two. Am I crazy? Now, people took it as best. They've never played a game. I'm not saying they're the best. They have to prove it.
Right.
But they're the most talented. Am I nuts?
John McMullen and Jody McDonald, your Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Hit that like button. Not because of John McMullen, not because of Jody McDonald, because of Martin Frank, who joins us here on Birds 365. Hello, Martin. How's your off season going?
It's going better than the Phillies after last night.
Oh, that was a nice one. Did you do the Phillies last night, Martin?
I did not, but I saw the collapse in real time as it happened.
Wow, that's a good one. What was that? A 7-run collapse?
The scary thing is they're up 7-1. I flipped over to the stupid hockey game, and I turned back over. I go, "What? The 7-5? What the hell?"
Yeah. You were better off watching the hockey game.
That's an all-timer. That's a potential. Is Joe Girardi going to be here in June? That's
a really good question. Why not be?
And Doc Rivers might not be here either. But we got to get some positivity, and that's your Philadelphia Eagles, Martin Frank. They're going to get on the field. Well, maybe not, but they're going to be in the bubble. They're going to be somewhere today. Rookie camp. How fired up are you?
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, we know Nick Sirianni will be here in June anyway, so
that's true. That's true.
Eagles got that going for themselves. And
he is the most entrenched coach in town. Can we say that? He is the most entrenched coach.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
The Flyers don't have a coach.
Well, you could argue Jay Wright, but
both got hot seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Martin, jump into the little tete-a-tete John and I were just having. Nakobe Dean, will he be starting for the Philadelphia Eagles come week 1? And if so, at what linebacker position do you think that's going to be?
If he's healthy, yeah, I think he definitely will be starting, and I think it'll be in place of TJ Edwards. He'll be alongside Kaiser White.
All right, gang up on me, Martin. All right.
Sorry, bro.
That's fair.
But that's a big if he's healthy. I mean, I think the Eagles kind of took him there with the idea that, if this guy's not ready to play week 1, if he ends up needing, that surgery or whatever, then, if this ends up being a redshirt year, then, Kaiser White's only on a 1-year deal. Next year, he'll be ready to go. He should be as good as new if it's not this year.
Yeah, and I think that's a positive part, even if there is an issue with the pack. That doesn't concern me. You just redshirt him. That's what the Eagles kind of planned to do last year with Landon Dickerson. And he was forced in the lineup. He ended up being fine. And hopefully that's going to work out long-term as well. So the Eagles have seen both sides of this sort of injury tete-a-tete. Right. Sidney Jones, it didn't work with. It is interesting the value of getting a player like that in the 3rd round, who most had late 1st round, early 2nd round grade. As a whole, how much does that Nakobe Dean pick sort of raise up Martin Frank's grade for the Eagles in the draft?
I think at the time I was kind of like, what are they doing? This guy's hurt. He's going to need surgery and everything like that, especially because they didn't address cornerback or safety. Well, actually, it hasn't turned out at all in the draft. But the more I thought about it, if you're in the 3rd round and you're looking for a starting cornerback or starting safety, you're probably not going to get one, especially with the ones who already went. So why not take a chance on a guy like Nakobe Dean, who was, many people thought would be a 1st round pick, late 1st round, like you said, early 2nd round. even like in the weeks up to the draft. So, I mean, this guy is really good. I mean, he played on a great team at Georgia. He was probably the leader of that defense. I mean, you heard Jordan Davis say that pretty much. Here's a guy who can make a difference if he's healthy. And if he can't play for this first year, you at least address the issue with Kaiser White. So, you end up with a guy who probably could be a first-round pick on your team, and you're looking, if it doesn't work out this year, then definitely next year you got a starting, linebacker and everything like that. And that's what
you think Howie's going to try to say this was really a first-round pick so he can stop with the Jerry Robinson stuff?
I'm surprised he hasn't already, that was like, hey, we got a first-round pick in the third round, that's usually
if he produces like he can potentially produce, it will eventually come to that. Howie will say, and we got a first-round linebacker in the third round. Oh yeah, he's going to go there. He hasn't yet. You got to get him on the field first and get him producing and playing like a first-round pick. But Howie will double back and say just that.
Yeah, he did that. He did that with Landon Dickerson. I mean, he was a guy who was supposed to go in the first round too, and he had all those injuries. And the Eagles took a chance on him, and it worked out for them. I mean, he started pretty early in the season and pretty much is entrenched at left guard. So, yeah.
Here's another reason why I think the most important reason why I think he's a middle linebacker for the Eagles is he's a middle linebacker, and I think they'll keep him at the position that he played at Georgia. And yes, as you move up, even though he's not the quote unquote perfect size middle linebacker, I think he overcomes that with talent and heart and desire. Another reason why I think they keep him there is this team is lacking a defensive leader. You went from Malcolm Jenkins to Rodney McLeod as your defensive leaders at the safety position. Are you ready to go there, Martin Frank? Epsy as the defensive leader of the Philadelphia Eagles. Somebody's got to take charge in that huddle, and I know it's difficult for a rookie to do. It's usually a linebacker or a safety. Will it be Epsy this year for the Eagles? That John likes to tell me he's the best safety that they have on the team right now. He's probably right, by the way. But is he also ready to be the defensive leader of this team?
Epsy, I'm not so sure about. They have Anthony Harris. I mean, he's a guy, who knows the system's been around. He knows Jonathan Gannon's system as well as anybody. So he might be the leader of the defense in that regard.
Leaders tend to perform, though, Martin. Leaders need to perform.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that Anthony, not that Anthony Harris has, he's been a Pro Bowl player in the past. People didn't see it in Philadelphia, but I do think he's a descending player. So when you look at the secondary as a whole, and we talked about cornerback a lot as well, and the Eagles keep with this narrative of Zach McPherson and Tay Gowan and Kerry Vincent, and they'd be comfortable with that. We heard the same thing last year when the Eagles drafted Zach McPherson in the fourth round. All offseason, Martin, it was like, well, yeah, we think Zach can play. And all of a sudden, here's Steve Nelson 2 days before camp. First play in team drills, Steve Nelson, starting corner. Never left it the entire season. Great durability as well. They weren't able to bring him back. He got 2 years in Houston. How big is 2 open spots in the secondary, if you want to consider one safety, one cornerback spot?
It's pretty big. I mean, it's obviously really big. I mean, I think the starting cornerback for the Eagles still isn't on the team yet. The Giants are expected to release James Bradbury. I'd be surprised if the Eagles don't make a serious run at him. So, it's just a question of how much they're able and willing to pay for a guy like that. I can't see them going into the season with, the combination of McPherson, Tay Gowan, and Kerry Vincent, and whoever else they want to try out there. Maybe one of the undrafted free agent guys they signed as the starter opposite Darius Slay. I mean, imagine if you're an opposing team and you see that. You're like, all right, well, Darius Slay can take the day off. We're just attacking the other side like nonstop. I mean, you need somebody in there who can, who's proven, who can make a play and everything. And when you look at Steven Nelson last year, they signed him like maybe 2 or 3 days before training camp started. And maybe that's the case this year. I mean, they'll find somebody. If it's not Bradbury, then, there's bound to be somebody out there that they can go after and sign with starting experience. So I'm pretty confident that the Eagles' other starting cornerback is not yet on the roster.
Oh, no Zach McPherson love, Jody.
Yeah, Zach Mac's got to earn it. We love the name. We haven't decided yet whether we love the player. All right, Martin, let's assume, and it would be hard not to assume, that the Eagles have an improved pass rush this year. And the easiest way to designate that is they get more sacks. Seeing as they were 31st out of 32 teams in the NFL, there's only one direction to go, but up. But we can watch a film, watch a tape, and we can say, hey, they're putting more pressure on the quarterback. They're getting hands in his face, getting hits on the quarterback. A lot of different ways you can statistically come to the conclusion that you've got an improved pass rush. Let's say that's improved first 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, quarter of the way into the season. Will that affect the way Jonathan Gannon plays his defensive backs? Will they do it differently? Last year, kind of like Jim Schwartz, they allowed as much underneath stuff as you wanted. That's why quarterbacks were regularly completing 80% of their passes against the Eagles, because they didn't get up and play a lot of press coverage. If the defense is improved at getting to the quarterback, what kind of effect is it going to have on the guys outside covering the wide receivers?
Oh, it'll have a huge effect. I mean, and they did improve the pass rush. I mean, getting a guy like Hassan Reddick, he's got like 23 and a half sacks in the last 2 years. He's playing kind of like the rush linebacker spot. So you still have like Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat, as defensive end. Plus you have Reddick. So, I mean, they're going to get more pressure on the quarterback. Plus you have the 2 guys up the middle, whether it's Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, and then with, both Jordan Davis and Milton Williams. I mean, you've got as strong a rotation at defensive tackle as probably anybody in the league right now. So, if Brandon Graham is fully healed, fully recovered and back to the way he was, like he says he is, then, you've got you're already improved, because he only played like 2 games last year before he suffered the Achilles. Derek Barnett is Derek Barnett. You might get a few sacks here and there, and he's probably going to get a ton of penalties. But you also got Josh Sweat, who's an ascending player.
I love the shot at Derek, by the way, Martin.
You got, well, he had more penalties than sacks last year.
Yes, he did. Not even close.
Yeah, exactly. Not even close. And you got, Josh Sweat is a really good defensive end. I mean, I think, he can get double-digit sacks. I mean, I think he had 7.5 last year and everything. So, there's plenty of opportunity for those guys to have a better. I mean, they should definitely be much improved from what they were last year and stuff. And, the less time the quarterback has to throw, the less time he can find an open receiver. I mean, that's just, that's just basically common sense and everything like that. So, yeah, it'll definitely help the defensive backs if they're getting more pressure on the quarterback.
All right, Martin, let's get to the main event, and that's the offensive side of the football. That's the quarterback. That's Jalen Hurts. You wrote about this on your latest at Delaware Online, or one of your latest, DelawareOnline.com. Jalen Hurts, sort of saying it's my team, getting a little curt. By the way, I like when people use the word curt. I think Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction. If I'm curt, I apologize, but so well done there. I do, because I'm the one who asked that question about the follow-up about the off-season workout. So he kind of said it, he went out to Southern California on his own. Do you believe that, or do you believe Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson and Shane Steichen got together and said, look, you got to start working on your mechanics a little bit more, and Tom House and Adam Daydew are the best at this? And by the way, if they didn't say that, is that a problem? In other words, shouldn't they have a defined plan for Jalen Hurts in the offseason?
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's only so much they can tell tell a player, like any player, during the offseason. They're really not allowed to have any kind of contact with them. But they could tell Jalen, like at the end of the season, okay, we need you to improve on this. We need you to improve on this. We need you to improve on this. Here are some coaches who can help you do that. But they can't make them go to
Well, that's what I meant. More of a suggestion,
Yeah.
Shouldn't you have a strong suggestion, I should say.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Jalen Hurts is a smart guy too. I mean, he knows what he needed to do better. I mean, he's very conscientious and diligent and everything. So, like, if there's somebody who can help him get better and he thinks that might be better than maybe someone the Eagles suggested, I mean, he's going to go to that person. I mean, I'm not sure that's how it all transpired or anything like that. But, Jalen Hurts, I mean, you can tell that he's a guy who is going to do whatever it takes to get better. So, he's probably got some ideas on his own as well as who to go see and everything like that. But yeah, I'm sure he's not against the suggestion to go try, working out with Tom House in California and everything and see where that leads. And, whatever it takes. I mean, I think that's what he's going to do in order to be a better quarterback than he was last year. So,
all right, yeah. Martin, I'm going to stay on the offensive side, jump into the trenches with a hypothetical question for you. Week 2 of the season, Landon Dickerson comes up lame.
Don't say that, Jody.
Turns an ankle. Nothing major, nothing career-threatening or anything like that, but a significant injury where he's going to be out a minimum of a month. Who's replacing him at left guard?
That's a good question because you got
I know who's not. Nate Herbig.
That's true.
It's not Nate Herbig.
You're assuming staying green. Yeah. He's staying green, though. Jet. Got that jet green going. Yeah. Joe Douglas said, "Thank you very much. I'll take Nate Herbig."
Right. You're assuming then that Isaac Seumalo is starting on the right side. You could always move him back to the left side. I mean, he's played there for the first 4 or 5 years of his career and everything. And then you put in Jack Driscoll. Or the new guy, Cam Jurgens. He could play guard. Maybe he's stronger on the left side than the right side. I mean, they drafted this guy in the second round, and Howie made it pretty clear he's not just a center. He can also play guard, even though he never did in college. But, you got 2 guys, 3 if you want to include Sua Opeta, who's played some, last year. I mean,
how's Tesla stock doing today? The stock market's not doing well. How is Tesla doing?
And then there's Brett Toth, they moved him inside too. So, I mean, they got options. It's just a question of, where they decide to put Seumalo. Like, if they want to keep him on the right side, then maybe one of those other guys can play on the left side. But, you got some pretty good options. It's still a pretty deep offensive line, even if, a guy like Landon Dickerson were to go down and stuff. So I think they'd be all right if he had to miss like a few weeks or even a month, like you said. They got options. Nate Herbig wasn't the deal breaker here.
They do have crazy depth on the offensive line. And that's the reason Nate's not here. Let's be honest. He made a little bit too much money to be a third string player. And the Jets are like, yeah, we'll pay that. We'll pay that for a guy who started, I think, 17 games. So good guy, too. Good luck to Nate Herbig. For Jody's Jets, I think he'll do a solid job there. Yeah. So let's talk receivers now, Martin. Let's go, since we're on the offensive side of the football. I think on paper, this looks great. I set up a bit of a firestorm on my own Twitter. I said, to me, this is the most talented tandem the Eagles have ever had at wide receiver, ever. I got a lot of pushback, people bringing up Harold Carmichael and Mike Quick. Well, Harold was in his 12th season when Mike Quick got here. I mean, he wasn't the Hall of Fame Harold Carmichael. DeVonta's 23. AJ's 24. And they are getting together at this point of their career. I think the better argument probably be Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy McMullen. Right. But I think these two are more talented than those two. Am I crazy? Now, people took it as best. They've never played a game. I'm not saying they're the best. They have to prove it.
Right.
But they're the most talented. Am I nuts?
Well, The only thing I would say about Deshaun and Jeremy Maclin is they never really played together that much. Deshaun came in 08 and Maclin in 09. And I want to say like their best years, the one year Deshaun was great in 2013, Maclin was out with a torn ACL.
Yeah, Macklin's big year, it was Jordan Matthews who
right. And Chip Kelly got rid of Deshaun, and then Maclin came back and had his great year. So they never really had they had good years. I mean, Maclin took a couple years before he became the great receiver, or the really good receiver that he was. And Deshaun, I think, had injuries too at times. Like he never really had 1,000 yards receiving until that 2013 breakout season, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe he did. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I think like the two guys they have now have definitely as much, if not more, potential than Deshaun and Maclin. If those two had played together in their prime, I think both could have had 1,000 yards receiving together. And I think that's definitely the expectation for DeVonta Smith and AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown's already done it twice. DeVonta, as a rookie, had 916 yards receiving, with quarterback who was still kind of finding his way, and they didn't really have anybody else. So the other team knew all they had to do was shut down DeVonta Smith and maybe Dallas Goedert, and they could do that. Obviously, now you can't really do that as much. I mean, if you focus all your attention on DeVonta Smith, well, you got a guy on the other side in AJ Brown who's just going to go crazy, and vice versa. I mean, if you focus on trying to stop AJ Brown, then you're opening up room for DeVonta Smith. So I think they're both going to feed off each other. I don't see why either one. I mean, I don't see why both can't have 1,000 yards receiving. I mean,
and by the way, Martin, you said 2 years. Yeah, he didn't have 1,000 yards last year, but he would have. He missed, 5 games, whatever it was, due to injury. He was on pace for it. So it was injury related. This group, and I'll follow up with this. Who's wide receiver one in your mind? Is it AJ or is it DeVonta?
I think they're both wide receiver one. It's like 1 and 1A.
On that fence. Somebody's got to get it. You hear when you go back to Doug Peterson. You've heard this, Martin. Doug said, I game plan for 17 and 86, which was Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. Nick, last year, it was 6 and 88. It was DeVonta Smith and Dallas Goedert. You always got those two guys. So 88, I think, is going to be one of those guys. So if I'm forcing you to pick one, and I'm forcing you, who was Nick Sirianni gaming for? Is it 11 and 88 or is it 6 and 88?
I'm going to go with 11 and 88, and I think 6 is going to be the beneficiary.
All right, I like it. I like it.
I think it's going to be 6 and 11, and Dallas will be third. But difference
That's possible,
of opinion.
yeah.
And by the way, I'm going with Irving Fryer and Christy Jones as the best Eagle pairing.
Christy Jones.
Christy Jones. Quick question. How many yards do you think they combined for in 16 games, not 17 games?
Well, obviously a lot, but I can't. Come on, Christy Jones.
Over 2,000. We're going to see if the two Eagle wide receivers come.
I think the record is Jeremy Maclin and Jordan Matthews of all people, but I could be wrong.
What about T.O. and I know T.O. had 1,400 yards or 1,200 yards or something like that. Wasn't there another guy, Todd Pinkston, maybe?
Pinky. Do the Pinky dance.
500 or 600 yards.
But my point is not about stats. It's about talent. And look, Christy Jones, nice season. Well done. You're not DeVonta Smith or AJ Brown. That's my point. I'm not talking they're going to be the most productive. You need a quarterback. Quarterback factors into that as well. How much are you going to throw the ball? All that factors into that number. I think this tandem, I'm very comfortable saying this, I'll say it again, is the most talented tandem in Eagles history. And they haven't had a lot of great tandems as compared to some other teams at wide receiver.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe assumption based on, their history and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, now you got to prove it. The Eagles are expected to be a lot better offensively, and that's supposed to make Jalen Hurts a better quarterback. So, let's see.
If my choice is the most talented duo ever or the most productive duo ever, I got to fall down on the most productive duo. Talent is nice, but then you got to go out and do it on the field, and we'll see if these two guys do it. I think they will be. I think John's right. I think talent will equate to production, and I think they'll set that record for most passing yards by two Eagle receivers in the season.
And I think
if they both stay healthy.
Yeah, and I think this is obviously a referendum on Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. I mean, if you can't have a good season with the receivers that you have, whether it's AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, whatever order you want to put them in. I mean, if the Eagles can't, muster a good offense with those three guys, then it's definitely on the quarterback at this point, right? I mean, after this year, if Jalen Hurts is your quarterback, you either, and if he's not, then you got to get one next year. I mean, it's as plain and simple.
Martin Frank, the great NFL Eagles writer for the Delaware News Journal. You could read him there, DelawareOnline.com @MFrankNFL. Martin, last one for you. I know you're going to be a world traveler, so you got your passport in order. You're going to Italy. You're a little upset. You're not going to get a stamp from Mexico City later in the year. No Eagles in Mexico City.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. I mean, if you're going to bring a new fan base to a foreign country, I mean, what better fan base to bring there than the Eagles? I mean, yeah, I know like the 49ers and Cardinals are a good matchup and everything like that. But, who wouldn't want to see like Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray? I guess they were never really teammates at Oklahoma, but they both went there and everything. And I don't know. It just seemed like Eagles fans in Mexico City, that would have been a nice thing. And I already have my passport,
International incident. That's why.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought for sure that was going to happen. But, going to Arizona is not bad either. I mean,
that's true.
There are worse places.
I would argue better, but that's me. Because I got to do the paperwork.
I got a two-parter for you, Martin, to wrap it up. Number one is a follow-up of John's. Have you already laid out your running routes in Mexico if you're going abroad? Have you gone on
to Italy? He doesn't have to. Yeah.
What did I say?
Mexico.
Not going to Mexico. Excuse me. Going to Italy. Have you laid out your Google Earth searches to find out exactly where you're going to be able to get your running in?
Haven't done that yet, but maybe I will over the
It's
weekend.
a good idea. You can get everything on Google Earth now.
Yeah, you find exactly what's the best running route. All right, and this one is just to put a little bit of Eagle off season in perspective. As we sit here, let's see, we got 128 days until the first Sunday of the season. Still a lot can happen, a lot of change, injuries, additions, subtractions. But as we sit here today on May 6th, who's the favorite to win the NFC East?
I think the Eagles could be. I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Cowboys. Pretty much going right down to the wire. I don't think the Cowboys are as strong as they've been the last couple of years after losing Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson. Ezekiel Elliott's 1 year older. I know Tony Pollard's obviously a good back and everything. But, I like what the Eagles did in the draft. And if everything works out, if Nakobe Dean is playing and starting, having a good year, the offense is much better. Jalen Hurts theoretically should be much better. So I think the Eagles can make a run for it. If they end up like 11-6, I think that could be good enough to win the division. I think, I think they could be a favorite to win the division. I don't see any dominant team in the NFC East right now. So, it just depends on how it all unfolds and everything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the Eagles as the NFC East champion this year.
Martin, great stuff. We always appreciate it when you come on. May your European running go well. Don't get hurt on it. We need you in one piece to come
I
back.
meant to ask to see the Broad Street medal too. The Broad Street run.
Oh yeah, I got that in a drawer somewhere. It's a
right into the drawer. There's a runner for you. Who needs medals? Just get back out there and get the endorphins pumping. Martin, great stuff. Appreciate you coming on. Always, bud. Thanks much.
All right. Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.